Welcome to the Emerging Professional Series at the Coffee Conversation Show, powered by the Emerging India Forum TIF and a tech partner, Prime Infotech Solution. Theme is Beyond Boardrooms, Savio Freitas on Law, Leadership, and Learning. In a world where corporate leadership is often confined to boardrooms and buzzwords, Savio breaks the mold, combining sharp legal insights with deep learning design, corporate coaching, and public advocacy. As a senior learning and development professional, he designs programs that shape future leaders across continents. But outside the glass towers, he is also a tireless medical negligence activist, a certified legal professional, and a YouTuber with over 300,000 subscribers. From court cases that challenge institutions to coaching frameworks that empower global workforces, Savio's journey is a bold blend of grit, empathy, and disruption. In this unapologetically honest episode, we discuss legal leadership, L&D innovation, systems change, and why some battles, professional or personal, are always worth fighting. And we also come to know Savio as a person. So, welcome, Savio, to this coffee conversation.
Thank you, Amir. Glad to be here.
So, let me explain you. There'll be three rounds: professional, personal, and a surprise rapid fire round where you will be in the hot seat and you have to be witty, fun, quick, and here's inspiration AI in the workforce.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let me explain you. Sorry. Okay. So, let's be. Friend, I'm Lion Amir Virani, host at Coffee Corner, legal tech evangelist at Prime Infotech Solution, author of 15 books. We help law firms, corporate legal, startup, SMEs, with world-class technology, tech training solutions. So my first question, Savio, how has the journey shaped up and what were the key defining moments you had?
Thank you, Amir, for that question. There are a couple of points that, or rather, milestones in my journey which helped shape it. Uh, One of the first was when I chose to do press law and journalism as a postgraduate course. That was the first part, which opened up a whole world of possibilities to me. Getting my first article published while I was still in school, that was another turning point in my life. When I took up teaching for the first time, well, all my friends took summer jobs and I picked up teaching at a coaching class. That was another turning point. So each of these, becoming a trainer, going to Delhi to file my first complaint, I had no idea how the system worked. I had no idea how it functioned. How did National Consumer Redressal Forum function? Going there, figuring it out. Thanks to COVID, the entire Supreme Court system has come onto WebEx. While people say COVID was a bad thing for most people, for me it was a godsend because it converted everything into WebEx and just helped making access for me a lot easier. Going to the Supreme Court using AI tools to reverse engineer a case. So instead of looking at it from start to finish, I try to look at it from the end and then start to take steps backwards and see what I need to do step by step. So kind of like if you know the Ellora case, it was reverse engineered. You started from the top and then gradually built it. So I try to do the same with a lot of things, a lot of problems that I foresee. I try to look at the end result and then start taking one step back. So I don't know if
Yes.
I answered or gave a very long answer to a short
No,
question.
no, it's fine. It's fine. So let's dive deep in conversation. So, as a senior learning and development professional, you have designed learning interventions across global geographies. What's the secret to building programs that work across cultures?
So one of the biggest elements that helps build a very good program is the inspiration. I always start with the inspiration. And before going on to the drawing board, one of the things I do is look at the framework based on which this entire program is going to be conducted. For instance, the trusted advisor framework. If I have to do something to do with trust or synergy or team building, I look at what framework is required. And then I marry the themes, frameworks, and that to the objectives, and then go on to how the learning journey will be shaped up. And then I also look at, is it going to be a self-driven journey, which part of it is going to be self-driven, which part uh, the administrators need to manage, which part is going to be require budgets. Today, thanks to LMSs and AI, we have immense tools at our disposal, which can make every part of the learning journey very interactive for our learners. So in these 25 years, whenever I have designed a learning intervention, like I said, I start with the framework and then I gradually go on to objectives and then I touch the drawing board to design the entire experience.
Wow, beautiful. So, Savio, how do you stay grounded while leading learning for thousands across senior learning and development professionals, BPM, managing stakeholder demands, and mentoring new facilitators?
Okay, I read a lot. That's one thing that keeps me grounded. Real life experiences, watching a lot of proceedings. So, for example, if I have to know how to fight a case, and one of the things is a human emotion that comes out of it. So, how do you categorize and bucketize your emotions so that you use it at the right place and don't let it get the better of you? So, one of the best ways to do that is to look at the hypothesis, test it, to experiment with various approaches. And of course, one of the biggest things is watching others in action, learning from others, seeing, trying to document how a particular experience was shaped and what could have been done differently. So, a lot of this has to do with my bosses throughout my journey, whether it was my first boss overall ever, or it was
Huh.
many others along the way. All of them have played a key role in shaping the Savio that you see today. So, whether it is Amit Nagpal, whether it is Vijay Kulaso, whether it is CP Santosh Nair, whether it is Sharad, all of them have played a role in my life and all of them have shaped me in different ways uh, to make me better.
That's beautiful. So, Savio, you've spoken openly about resistance and compliance in corporate projects. How do you balance pushing boundaries with corporate diplomacy?
One of the things I do is one of the best way to push boundaries is your credibility and the trust of your stakeholders. So that more than anything enables you to push boundaries. Uh, Once your stakeholders trust you and they realize that you you are valuable to them, they will bet on you. That's one of the first things. Uh, to give one example, and one of the yes, just before I give the example, it is important to know your data, your numbers, your plan without having to use an aid. You need to know it like the back of your hand. One example which I often like to quote whenever I do a learning experience session of how to prepare is um, there was this very large approval that my manager at the time had to take. And he kept chasing his stakeholders for quite a number of times. Vijay Kulaso. So he kept sharing, he shared this with us that I kept chasing the stakeholders multiple times and I never got the approval. Finally, the CEO calls him in and say, "Hey, I know what you're asking of me. You have 5 minutes. Tell me why should I invest in this?" So if Vijay had said that, "Hey, I need my PPT, I need my deck, I need to prepare, let me go slide by slide," the CEO would have said, "Thank you, go back." But he knew his numbers, his plan, his structure, everything by heart, and he knew how to present it. So credibility, preparation, and the ability to for your for your first impression, the first impression that you make with people is incredibly important. And that comes with a lot of trust and a lot of work that you need to do.
Very true. Okay. So, Savio, you've been a writer for publications like People Matters, HBR, and others. What role does thought leadership play in your coaching brand? That's my first question. And how do you decide what topics to write?
So that comes, so let me answer the second part of the question first. How to decide what to write? It involves looking at your demographic. Who's your audience? Like, to give an example of YouTube, which is no different from writing, except that here you're using video, here you're using text. So one of the things I do is I look at what is my audience profile, what kind of audience do I have. I study the demographic. Like the people who follow mine are 10 years younger to me. That's one of the largest age group who are following me are 10 years younger to me. So maybe the topics and the content I have is tuning into them, and that is why they like it. So that's number one. Doing a lot of research, reading, looking at the demographic is one part. And what role does it play in terms, leadership play in terms of my coaching brand? People need to, like I say, I go back to the earlier word I used was credibility and trust. My brand is everything about credibility and about trust. Without these two words, without the ability to make an impression, without the ability for your audience to trust you, they are not going to follow what you read and what you write, what you write and what you present. They not follow you for that. So that's a lot. That plays a pivotal role in my entire brand.
Wow. The first question: what role does thought leadership play in your coaching brand?
Thought leadership is the center of uh, my coaching brand. So the ability to come up with ideas, the ability to look at something from a completely different perspective, what others haven't seen, the ability to challenge the status quo is one of the most important things. Let me give an example of this. Um, many years ago, like back 2009, so it was completely a norm for us to do 4-hour, 8-hour trainings, and we were pretty happy doing it. There was no need to change it. There were multiple topics. Our calendar used to be huge with large number of topics. So I challenged this thought process and said, why can't we just combine all these competency themes into one? And why can't we just build 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 large programs and try to do it that way? Back then, people said people won't turn up, audience will not come, they can't be free, who will like it? But we stuck to this thought process, and we kept on building on this idea further and further, and eventually we reached a stage where we created a consolidated program rather than a scattered theme of various programs. So today, you don't need to go for a team building first and then for a problem solving and then for an articulation. We've combined all of these and shown the linkage between all these competency themes. So when you say you're a thought leader, one of the things is to look at something and see an opportunity before others do, and to talk about it, to articulate it well. That plays a very big role in your coaching brand and your ability to talk about the thought process.
Beautiful. So, what a memorable moment you had in your coaching assignments?
One of the most memorable moments I had in my coaching assignments, uh, when we were doing this global program, which was spread across multiple locations, and we had coachees come in and attend this program. One of the most memorable moments were when one of these people admired me for the amount of preparation I do and the amount of fail safes that I put into the program to ensure that everything works perfectly. So, how do you schedule it? How do you create a backup? So, some simple things like you have a primary WebEx link, you have a secondary WebEx link. In case both these don't work, what is the fallback you have? How do you prepare the background? How do you ensure people are well rested? How do you block the calendar? So one small thing I used to do is to block my audience's calendar before and after the program and say, this is a time block. You're supposed to tune into my program when you come in for the session, so that I block your time before so that other people know you're busy at that time. So that creates a kind of you're blacking out others to prevent them from being disturbed, prevent your audience from being disturbed. Though it's a small thing, it's a logistic activity, but people admired me for this element when I did this program. So people admired me for the another part was how real it is, how compelling it is, and I don't just pick up a standard story. So one of the most recent sessions I did just last week, where I don't just pick up a random story with random facts and put it together and say this is how you do it. I would pull up actual story of what happened, how did this transpire, how did the person help me in this journey, how did I put on. So to give you an example, there are different hats people wear in the workplace. So there's a black hat, a person who looks only at the facts. There's a person who look only at the faults. There's a person who look only at the good things. So while I had shown this particular slide, I gave an example to my audience that while I had shown this slide, which was a very important presentation to a couple of people, it could have been possible that all these wore only one kind of hat and said, hey, it's a good slide, go ahead. But there was one person who stood out, whose time I got only at 11 p.m. in the night. And she said, hey, this is missing. Did you notice this? Where is this? So it was about what tools did you use to analyze the situation? So that the names of the tools were missing. So she pointed it out, and thanks to her, I was able to plug that in. And sometimes it's important to look at when you're handling a situation to take various points of view. Everyone who says your slides are good, the story is good, isn't always giving you the correct picture. Maybe they see something, or they just want to took a cursory glance at it and said, hey, it's good. But there will be one person who will look at all the flaws and all the gaps. So that's one thing that I like to do, to show it to my critics and try to get the best possible inputs. And I bring these stories into my programs to make it as real as possible.
Wow. So, Sarah, what's the one systemic change you would implement in corporate learning if you had complete control and no budget limit?
So, like I said, budget, money, that comes later to a large extent. But more than that, one of the things I will change is I will create playgrounds or practice labs within my programs. Another thing that I will do is uh, look at the framework to the objective and the journey. Marry these three things in sync so that they all talk the same language. If I have to achieve a certain learning objectives, I will look at what framework would best suit. Would it be the trusted advisor framework? Would it be some other framework? Would it be so on and so forth? So I would look at the background of what framework. And then, of course, I will look at how do you structure the entire experience? Which part of it is self-driven? Which part I need to prod the person? Which part is instructor-led? Which part is driven through social learning? So if money were not a constraint, I would put more emphasis on practice labs and experiences, because where people come together and practice and learn, just like a brainstorming session, in simple words, it's called a brainstorming session. Uh, Today we call it labs. Today that's the common buzzword. But if we were to do this, that makes a huge difference between a learner just taking in information and a learner going away from the program having practiced what he learned.
Wow, beautiful. So, Savio, what trends are you seeing with related to technology, gamification, and AI in the learning and development space?
So one of the trends I see in L&D is one of the largest trends you see is the functions are coming to terms with how can AI help us in different elements of the design process. That's one trend that is happening a lot. So where do I use mid journey, and where do I use uh, SEO3? That's the name of an app that's the name of an AI app that helps us to create content. Where do I use an app to create my strategy? Where do At what place do I use which app? So everything cannot be ChatGPT. Everything cannot be Copilot. So each of them have their strengths and each of them have some shortcomings. So one of the biggest trends I see is people need to understand how different tools work and get hands-on practice. So one of the playbooks, even at a recent conference that I attended, uh, going for a practice workshop to know how different apps work is one of the biggest trends I see happening in L&D today. While we are still coming to terms with it, we are still, to a large part, the industry is still on Copilot and ChatGPT. But I think there is a lot that can be done in this space by using focused apps.
Wow, beautiful. So, Savio, you're currently pursuing a legal case against a hospital. How does this real-time experience shape your legal worldview today?
So, uh, how does this shape my view today? It has helped me channel my energy in a very focused manner. So in the beginning, it was all about emotions, and there was a lot of I only recorded when I went through this entire experience. I recorded incidents, made meticulous note taking, and I made note of the different parts of what I went through. But when I went to the drawing board and when I went into the real life scenario of a courtroom, I realized that those emotionally loaded words and those emotions and what happened and the sequence, it's important for me to know, but it doesn't matter when you have to say it. Uh, the person wants to hear only the most important point and then hear the facts. So that's one thing I learned a lot there.
Wow. So, Savio, medical negligence law is complex and emotionally loaded. What advice would you give to your clients or individuals stepping into this space?
So, if a person wants to embrace medical negligence law or any legal opportunity, the first step is a lot of reading, a lot of observing cases. That's the first. And of course, learn how to separate the emotional aspect and the legal aspect. Both cannot exist without the other. They complement each other, but the emotions have to complement the facts at the right moment. That's one. And of course, making precise notes, remaking notes. A lot of people underestimate the use of using liquid text. One of the first things I noticed, everyone in the Supreme Court system, if you were to walk into the Supreme Court today, uh, almost all lawyers, everyone from the judges to the lawyers, everyone uses liquid text to make precise notes on the different legal documents. But for lay people, they feel, okay, let me just make bullet points, or let me write it down, or let me just make notes on the iPad and carry it with me. Uh, Using the same tools that is used across is extremely important. So having the right kind of tools, using the right kind of drives to easily retrieve, access, share. These are extremely important to be able to get an edge over what you're trying to do. Otherwise, the person would always be struggling. How do I send this? How do I get this? How do I make notes? How do I emphasize the point? So on and so forth. So I hope I was able to answer that.
Wow. So, what's a memorable case for medical negligence law which you handle?
One of the most prominent cases, while I don't want to directly name the hospital or the
No,
victim,
no. We just need the merits.
yes. So, one of the most important merits were that the negligence wasn't available on any of the prescriptions or any of the case notes or any of the documents, but it existed behind all these. Behind every structure, there was a process and just to give you the story, to tell you how this happened. A patient went in for an eye surgery. He came out of the eye surgery and found out he had lost his eye. And when he went back to check, when he went back to the hospital to do a checkup, he noticed that 3 other people had also lost the eye. And as he dug deep, he found out that they were all operated in the same operation theater on the same day. Now, if you look at the facts, when we look at medical negligence law as a process, you need facts, you need prescriptions, you need procedures, you need the Indo papers, you need the outer papers. None of these would speak of negligence in this case. There was no negligence on the face of it at all. Being a doctor, when he went behind the scenes, he found that in this case, the hospital had used one washing machine to wash both the operation linen and the patient's linen in one time. And that is how E. coli, which is the bacteria, transferred from the patient's linen onto the operation linen and reached here. To a layperson, he would just wonder why he would not have been able to answer this in court. But because this person was a doctor and he didn't just look at the main documents, he went behind the scenes and he saw this. He was able to find out that they were trying to save money and hence this happened. When he looked at the process, linen is supposed to be washed separately. It's supposed to be stored separately. The second it's stored together, that is when cross-contamination can happen. So some of the merits are going back and looking at the process, looking at what is not available. And this comes from a lot to do with QMS, quality management system. If a function has a very solid quality management system, there can be no gaps or no loopholes. So when you look at the quality management system, the front end, the back end, the supply chain, that is when you'll find the gaps.
Beautiful. Learning a lot. So I want to plan a panel discussion on medical negligence law in India.
Yes.
We'll connect and plan it out because this is, what do you say? It will help viewers out there who are going through, what do you say, as you define, the process. So many unknown things are there where a layman can't know. And there are cases where insurance companies deny legitimate claims and harass families to bring in documents. So much things are there. So there are a lot of things to help them through this session.
Who is a prominent Bandra hospital. The doctor is a prominent eye doctor. And this hospital is known for earning thousands of crores in excess of 200 crores a day. They have processes like these, so you can wonder what smaller establishments would have. It's not simple as operating the wrong eye or writing the wrong prescription or giving the wrong dosage. It's much more deeper. They were trying to save money at the cost of patients' lives. And that's the entire...
Few thousand.
Yes.
Few thousands.
Maybe a couple of thousands of dollars. They were just trying to shave off as much as they can. And that's why negligence happens.
Wow. Okay. So my last question for your professional journey around, what advice would you give to young L&D professionals who aspire to be in the senior positions role in as an L&D professional in the corporate world?
So so I recently had a chance to mentor one of my ex-colleagues, and thankfully today she's going to become a trainer with Indigo. From being a cabin crew, she's going to become a trainer with Indigo. And I like to think this is one of the many times I think I was able to make some difference to a person's life. One of the advice I would give to a person, and this is straight from this mentoring experience and coaching experience, one of the things is to read a lot. The challenge with newer generations today, we are very chat GPT, or we use it just like a Google tool as you normally hear nowadays. That's one. Second is to continuously improve yourself and your audience. A lot of trainers today they use training as a platform to only improve themselves and not their audience. They're more concerned about how well I get to talk. I hear a person who very openly says, hey, I want more classroom training and not virtual training because I want to improve my articulation. I want to improve my skills. Uh, I find that a little hard to swallow because your purpose of being as there as a trainer is to give them an opportunity to talk, to give them the experiences and help them become a better version of themselves, not for you to become better. You have to become better on your own time. As a trainer, your responsibility is with your learners to create experiences with, to make them, to give them playgrounds like a simulation in the classroom, which helps them improve. So, one of the things I would tell aspiring trainers today, read a lot, practice your hypothesis a lot, read about different frameworks. There's a whole long list of the trust framework, the persuasion framework, the negotiation framework. Everything has various kinds of frameworks and approaches, whether it is the ADDIE principle, whether it is so on. There's another instructional design principle. I'm not able to remember the name offhand like that, but yeah. So you should read a lot of structure and frameworks because as you want to grow and you want to structure your thought process, managers and others like something that is well organized. You design this program, what was the thought process? You design this thought process, what was the inspiration? What was the book or framework you used as a foundation to build this? So, one simple example which I had right now, of course, confidence is something I've always had, but I didn't know where this came from. So, I happened to read a book during my leave. Whenever I take an annual leave, I always pick up one or two books. So, I picked up a book called The Confidence Gap by Russ Harris, and it gave 5 simple steps to enable you. Normally, people, the common, I'll give an example. I'm sorry, I'm stretching it a little, but
No, it's fine. Go ahead,
normally
please.
people say that I can't drive a car because I've not got the confidence yet. That's a common answer you hear men, women, especially. I'm not trying to stereotype, but women generally say that. Uh, in Russ Harris's book, he says acknowledge the danger of taking the action, but act first. Feelings come later. So it's action over feelings. First act. The feeling of confidence will automatically follow and will dovetail your actions. So that's one of the 5 points that makes everything change in an instant for a person. And of course, I was applying this already in my life without knowing this framework and structure. But reading this book put a little more structure to it and helped me to be inspired, to inspire others, and to put a little more structure to this entire situation of what it is.
Wow, beautiful. So let's go to the next round and understand Savio as a person. Tell us about your family and your formative years.
So my family comprises of my wife. I have 3 pets. I am an ardent dog lover. I love taking care of stray dogs in my neighborhood where I stay. Some of my formative years, I grew up in a central government setting, a defense central government setting in my formative years. So a lot of that has shaped up who I am today. I led a very sheltered life initially. Reality hit once I lost my father in my 7th standard. And that is when I think I became, from being a sheltered, shy boy, I started becoming bolder and bolder. And that played a different role for me. And as I went on through life, I took up my first job. I insisted that I step out of my home and go to Bombay and work. So that played a huge role to me for me to be independent, to earn my living. Even though I could have easily stayed back home and I could have done a cushy job and come back home to a comfortable, not having to pay rent and everything, but I chose difficulty over comfort.
Wow. So, Savio, what's that one personal ritual that gets you through a high pressure day?
So whenever I have a high pressure day, one if I have a very important day coming up, one of the most important rituals I follow is preparation. Preparation can take the edge off any pressure that you can have. You preempt everything that's possibly going to go wrong. You check mark everything. And I try to do that the night before or before I hit hit the bed the previous day. I try to do that. And second is to think a lot about it. Like I read this wonderful line in Reader's Digest years ago. There are three kinds of people in the world. The first kind who work all day, the second kind who dream all day, and the third kind who spend an hour dreaming before going to work to fulfill those dreams. So the people who dream a little bit just before they put their thoughts into action are the ones who don't feel the pressure. And the easiest thing that keeps me grounded is taking care of voiceless animals, feeding them, taking care of them. Even on my most high pressure day, I've got huge number of things to do. I would still finish routine. So routine above everything else conditions you to say, hey, this is just one more thing that I have to do. It keeps you grounded.
Wow. So, what does a perfect weekend look like?
My perfect weekend would always be a lovely cup of tea in a flask, carried a couple of cups of tea in a flask and go for a long drive. That's my idea of a weekend. Take my pets along, go to a hillside, uh, enjoy a lovely cup of tea or coffee. I'm not a fan of going to malls or fancy places. I like to go to settings wherever my pets feel welcome so that they can have a lot of fun. So for me, that is weekend.
Wow. So, Savio, how do you nurture meaningful friendships while juggling law, leadership, and learning?
How do I nurture meaningful concepts? That's a question.
Meaningful friendships while
Meaningful.
juggling law, leadership, and learning.
So it's all about the connect that I have with people that gives me meaning, that gives meaning to my friendship. So each person, like I said, plays a very crucial role in your life, whether it is the person who helped me frame or draft uh, my document when I went to the Supreme Court, or whether it is the person who helped me at a low point in my life, whether it is a person who helped me get my first promotion. Uh, a lot of experiences are shaped by how I treat them and how they treat me. Whether it is a friendship born out of a structure, like for example, a boss and subordinate relationship, or whether it is a friendship that has come about gradually over a period of time and decades. And
Wow.
sometimes it could be offhand relationships also. Someone I just met on the plane. So I'm sure all of you, a lot of your audience in the whole world knows who is Chandu Champion, Murlikant Petkar. So I just happened to be sitting in the plane beside him. And when he told me who he was, initially, because I have not watched the movie, I didn't
Hmm.
know that. And the moment I knew about it, and the next guy said, hey, he is him. And he was awestruck. So at that moment, we were in flight, so we couldn't Google or check anything. But as he kept sharing, I realized, wow, such a wonderful person. And he stays just hardly 5 kilometers from where I live. So it was a huge moment for me to meet a person
Wow.
like that. And
Beautiful.
I've just formed a friendship with his son and him, and I keep on talking to him. The first day I landed, the very next day I turned up at his place. I met his dog, and again I noticed something about it, and I immediately offered advice, and they acted on it. So it is just a connection that I build. It's rapport and connection that you build with people.
Yes, very true, very true. This is what coffee does. Ke bhai, our tagline is memory maker, change maker, and bring smiles for lifetime. So this 5 years journey, 500 speakers have been featured, not only India, international also.
Wow.
So it's the passion keeps us going strong day by day. So if your life, say you had a soundtrack, what's one song that would definitely be on it?
My life had a soundtrack. The song by YouTube, which made a huge difference for me, would be A Beautiful Day. by
Wow.
YouTube. That would be the song that defines my life.
Beautiful. Okay. So my last two questions are reflective. What legacy would you like to leave behind?
I would like to leave a legacy. Let me tell you a story behind legacy. Why would I choose this? When I was about to be operated for a very crucial heart surgery, and this surgery has a chance of just 1 or 2% chance of passing the operation table alive. I realized till that point I had a house, I had money, I had a job, I had achievements. We had just won the highest award that my company can bestow, the highest award. But I'd not done anything which people would remember me for. And what I would like to leave behind is a structure where people would remember me that for who I was and what I used to do to help make, whether it is for animals, whether it is for society, a better place for everyone. So that's what I would like to be known for.
Beautiful. So my last question for your personal journey round. It's a googly one. Describe Savio in one line.
Confident and authoritative.
Beautiful.
I know these words, authoritative has a very negative connotation in today's world when you're authoritative, but you need to speak and talk with authority to get somewhere where you want to go. So confidence,
Beautiful. So let's put you in the hot seat, Savio.
yes.
The rapid fire round. Your go-to comfort food.
Poha and chai.
Lawyer or coach? Who's cooler?
Coach is cooler. The lawyer needs to be more shrewd. I would say I would choose the coach.
A legal maxim you think is overrated.
Legal today, it's one of the magazines available on Maxter. Is I would say it's a little overrated.
Wow. You're a night owl or an early bird?
I'm a night owl,
Wow.
born and brought up that way.
Your favorite color?
Yellow.
Your dream travel place?
Anywhere that has a beach.
Best piece of advice received?
Be prepared.
A mantra you live by?
A mantra I live by: don't worry. That's the biggest mantra I use. Of course, it
Hmm.
upsets my spouse a lot when I keep repeating it, but I think that's the center of our life. That's what should be the center of our life.
Wow. Uh, yeah. Uh, your favorite restaurant in Nagpur?
My favorite restaurant in Nagpur, there's a very famous restaurant called Coffee House. I don't know if it exists today. I think it exists, Coffee House. They serve the best dosas. So uh,
Hmm.
it's the common man's restaurant, and I love going there.
Wow. Beautiful. Tea or coffee to recharge?
Start with coffee, end with tea.
Let's raise your coffee show.
Yes.
And here's your book, which will be autographed and sent to you.
Thank you so much.
So, Savio, it's been nothing short of inspiring to hear how you have woven law learning, leadership, and activism into a powerful narrative of change, both in the boardroom and beyond. Your journey reminds us that true impact comes from blending grit with empathy and never shying away from battles that matter. To our viewers out there, stay tuned, stay curious, and keep challenging the norm. Don't forget to subscribe to the Coffee Corner Show on YouTube, where there are 500 speakers who have shared their professional personal journey. And join us again for another powerful story of an emerging professional who's changing the game. Until next time, sip, learn, and lead forward. So we meet with another coffee speaker, continue conversation, or cup of coffee. Thank you, Savio.
Thank you, Ahmed. It's been a pleasure being with you and speaking to you today.